When I'm not asking for help choosing a quirky alter ego to assume for the rest of pandemic, I'd like to answer questions that you got on YouTube. Let's get to it. Do you have a video on mixing the minor and major pentatonic of the same note? Excellent question, and this comes from my Patreon. So one better reason to sign up for the Patreon, because aside from getting like a 40 first guitar lessons class taking you from beginner to intermediate and dozens of song lessons, you also get priority on the QA. So yeah, major and minor pentatonic, just the age-old question that brings a lot of confusion, which we're going to put to rest right now, okay? So we're going to do something in the key of 2020, key of D. All right? Now, all you need to know is this is going to be played over a D major chord. A D major chord is a D, an F sharp, and an A. You can find that in the D major scale. Now, the D pentatonic minor looks like this. 10th fret on low E string, 10, 13, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 13, 10, 13. The D major pentatonic, I always think the best way to look at that is take the exact same shape, but start on your pinky on the root note. So now we have the same thing, but instead of going 10, 13, we do the same shape, but... right? So you can kind of see this as the exact same shape starting on the B note. B minor pentatonic, D major pentatonic is the exact same thing. So the first thing to realize is if we're going to solo in D minor pentatonic, maybe we start here. D major pentatonic, we start here. Okay, so again, 10, E, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. Now, contextually is the most important thing, as it always is, and it often gets overlooked. So we're just going to jam on just a D major chord, right? I'm going to try to loop it here. All right, so we just have a D major playing in the background. Just D, F sharp, and A. If I start in minor, major, minor, major, okay, so I think you can kind of hear the difference of it, right? The minor pentatonic over a major chord sounds bluesier. The reason being is if we look at, that scale, we're playing an F note over a chord with an F sharp in it, which is why the sound of the minor 7 note kind of over a major chord, thus making it, if you were to add just a minor 7 to a D major chord, you'd actually get a D dominant 7, which is the reason that the dominant 7 chord is kind of the sound of the blues, right? So if you want to sound bluesy, just use that minor pentatonic. If you want it to just sound more kind of cohesive together, right, then just use the major pentatonic. Now, I think visually it's easier to see it when your pinky starts on the root note of whatever scale you're gonna do, and then jump into whatever, So all right, major, minor. But I personally think it is a little easier for me to understand when I always think of the relative minor, right? So if I'm playing something in D major, and I want to play minor pentatonic, but not bluesy, just use the minor pentatonic shape to play stuff, I always think of its relative minor scale. So I'm thinking B minor pentatonic, just to recall the shape in my mind's eye, instead of thinking D major pentatonic. Two different ways of thinking about the same thing. Honestly, thinking of it as D major pentatonic is the right way to do it because the tonal center is D, therefore however we kind of throw these notes on top of it, it's going to be D major pentatonic, right? But again, I kind of learned it just on the fly, just willy-nilly. So I always think of B minor pentatonic over D major. But again, that's a really great way to kind of use different things. And those examples of solos just over the same chord didn't sound altogether, super bad clashing or anything. They're just kind of two different sounds that you can blend. Which brings me back to my video a few days ago about my least favorite blues lick ever. It's a great example of you start with minor. That move right there, right? That is minor to major, adding the major third over it. In fact, in that video, I called it a blue note, just because that's how I see it. People are like, that's not the blue note. I can make a blue note anything I want to make it. So that's just kind of how I see minor versus major pentatonic. What if you don't have or believe in Instagram? So this came up because I'm giving away this guitar, and all you have to do to enter, like I said in the other video, is subscribe to the Finishing Move page, which is a company that makes video game soundtracks that I'm working with. So we just got to get them over 1,000 subs. So you got to subscribe there and then follow me on Instagram. I understand that a lot of people are against Instagram because there's a popular opinion that Mark Zuckerberg is evil. I am not really going to comment on that one way or another, but I totally understand. So even though this particular Framus guitar, Framus Panthera, which is really a great guitar, by the way. So if you, if you don't think it's siding on the side of evil to enter, please do it because you could win, right? But I will do another giveaway, hopefully like in like the next month or so, that is going to be strictly just YouTube or whatever, and you're not going to have to like sell your soul to the devil, which I mean, it's 2020. Come on, anything goes. But definitely make sure you enter the contest because I think in less than 2 weeks I'm going to pick the winner, most likely on a live feed, but we'll see. I just want to be totally transparent about picking the winner, but definitely get it while the getting's good. Cool. Though it would be much easier to play if you didn't finger it like a caveman. Use all of your fingers, bro. Watching you fret this made my eyes bleed. Salty Blues comment of the week. I think I'm going with finger it like a caveman as being the official phrase of 2020. Serious question, can you tap or split the neck pickup and get good tones for blues? I'm interested in a Strat sound, but only needs to be close, not a perfect imitation. So this comment was actually on the demo I did for this D'Angelico Mini DC semi-hollow, right? Which does not have a coil split. It's just two humbuckers and you can go in between them. This guitar is awesome. I love this guitar. But if you're thinking about maybe getting a semi-hollow and you want a coil split type thing, this is what's up. This is the Ryder guitar, the Deluxe SS. It doesn't actually have a tap, like a coil tap. If you don't know, is like sometimes you can like maybe push like the volume knob and it splits the coils on your pickups to go from humbucker to single coil. So then you can kind of get like, the best of both worlds, like a cool humbucker sound or a single coil sound, right? But this has actually what I prefer. It has a 6-way switch. So the top row one way, and then the bottom is the humbucker, right? So if you're interested in that, I think these are both amazing guitars. I really put my full endorsement behind the D'Angelico semi-hollows. I absolutely love them. But if that's something you're looking for, definitely check out the Deluxe SS, whereas the Mini DC is awesome, but it definitely is just straight up creamy humbucker amazingness. Singing and playing for 4 hours, screw that. Sounds like modern day slavery. The cheap-ass bar owner should get a DJ or play a CD for 4 hours. Most of these tightwads don't pay squat anyway. 30 minutes to an hour tops. Most pro concerts are only like an hour or a bit more. Spoken like someone who is absolutely not a professional in the music industry. 100% false that most pro concerts are 30 to an hour. Like, yeah, if you're like playing arenas and stuff, that's like the cushest gig of all time. But for every arena show, there's probably 1,000 restaurant shows where like working class musicians are playing, and yeah, they're like 3-hour gigs. So I don't know, it's just kind of funny, like the dichotomy of what you think maybe when you don't really understand how the music industry works versus like how it actually is. And I remember playing my first 2-hour set, and I was like, how am I ever gonna learn 2 hours of music? Like, yeah, maybe I could play a 30-minute set like 3-4 times and then just like drag out the breaks and stuff like that. But again, the thing that is just super interesting is the more you do it and you make yourself learn a 3 or 4 hour set, the easier it is and just like the better it is for your musicianship, because you can just like look at something, pick it up, and then just roll with it. So, I never really thought I would set out to play like 3-hour sets at different places. And again, technically right now I'm not. Like last year I played like over 100 shows, but this year, 2020, right? Finger it like a caveman, hashtag. But yeah, it's something that you just get used to. So, if anything, just practice. practice. You're going to pick up songs super quick. The most important thing for you to do is just pick up your theory, make it understandable to the point where you can kind of recognize, like, oh, that's a 1-4-5 in G. And then the bridge is like a 6-2-3 or something like that. And then everything just gets a lot easier to memorize. What about the Sean Daniels disaster? So this was on the video I posted last week about my marketing director rebranding my name for stuff. And it's pretty funny how everyone's like, just stick with your regular name, Sean Daniels. It's a great name, just stick with it. Y'all realize my name is not Sean Daniels, right? There's no S on the end of Daniel. So it's almost the purest form of irony that I was wondering to use my actual name or to do a rebrand, and then my actual followers were like, just stick with your actual name, which is not even my actual name to begin with. So I appreciate you watching, but the rebrand is still in discussion. So for listening homework, I'm going to shoot you to more of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, who those guys just keep pumping out the jams. I am always in the mood to listen to the Giz. They're fantastic. Their new single, Honey, just has like some cool acoustic guitar vibes going on with it. And again, if you are unfamiliar with it, they've got so much great music that has come out just in the last few years that there's definitely something for everybody out there, and it's always a really interesting listen, so check that out. Make sure you enter the contest, because you might win a Framus guitar. Check out the music, streaming everywhere, and if you have any questions or comments, hit me up in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, or the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.